Arlington Municipal Airport. Automated weather observation. 2031 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 13 Celsius. Dew point 10 Celsius. Altimeter 2997.
So far, the month of December 2025 has been marked by historic rainfall and numerous back-to-back atmospheric rivers. While we normally get a lot of rain here in the Northwest, this year has been truly unusual. For one thing, it has been warmer than usual. We've had many days in the mid-50s, which is at least 10 degrees warmer than average. While it is nice not to have to endure real cold weather, it is also a problem because we count on colder temperatures to build snowpack in the mountains, and not just for the skiers. It's the snow in the mountains that acts as our reservoir to put water into the rivers, lakes, and streams through the summer dry season, both months of it. If we had that, this amount of moisture wouldn't really be a problem, as it would be mostly staying in the mountains as snow. As it is, we are not only getting lots of rain in the lowlands, but there is about twice as much falling in the mountains. When you add those two totals together, what you end up with is overwhelmed rivers and streams that send water surging everywhere. In some places, this month has brought worse flooding than anyone can remember. The second week of December brought the majority of that rain, and it came in just a few days between the 9th and the 12th. Then a strange thing happened on the 13th. The clouds parted and the skies opened, and all of the faithful were once again, for one brief shining moment, allowed to go forth and commit aviation. Of course, we paid for that blessing with another week of rain and wind that pounded an already strained system. The first part of the following week also brought high winds with the next atmospheric river that led to widespread power outages. Why, I myself was beset with an entire evening without internet access in my whole house. Since we did get one brief break in the weather to fly, naturally we wanted to go out and check the damage. One of the first things that we noticed was that there was a lot of water just about everywhere. This was just 2 days past the peak of the flooding, and it was amazing that the water had receded as much as it had. There were places that I had seen pictures of almost completely underwater that were now high and dry. Well, at least not underwater anymore. Also, as might be expected, just about everyone who had access to an aircraft was using it this one day, and it was very crowded everywhere. Almost like this would be the only decent flying day in all of December. For the first time in Dad's hangar, it just so happened that just as I was ready to leave, so was John. Actually, he pulled his airplane out first, but then I saw him pre-flighting, or at least looking something over, so I thought I might have time to get out in front of him without holding him up. Some of you may say you could have just gone over and talked to him to coordinate your plans. Well, sure, if I wanted to do it the easy way, but where's the fun in that? I tried to get in and started as soon as possible, and once I had oil pressure, I started taxiing out of the way so John could get out. I went as far as the old aviation hangar on the corner and stopped there. It takes a while to get everything turned on and set up the way I want it, not to mention the fact that I need to have time for the oil to warm up. Once my oil reached 80 degrees, I taxied south to see what it would be like getting out of here. As I approached, I could see that there was a guy in a 172 right smack in the middle of the run-up area. There was a guy in a long easy next to him. John was in front of me with somebody in front of him. As the two in front of me approached, the guy in the long easy pulled out and headed for the runway. That left John just a small spot at the corner of the run-up area. I thought about pulling in front of the 172 since there was a lot of room there, but since I had no idea what he was doing, I didn't want to risk it. Since there was nobody behind me on the taxiway, I just turned 45 degrees towards the hangars and did my run up there. Fortunately, there was no wind, so it really didn't matter where I was pointed. I finished first, so I just headed for the runway. As I started my takeoff roll, I heard John say on the radio that I was smart to do my run-up at the north end before taxiing down. I need to get with him and tell him that I didn't do it up there. I was worried about fouling a plug during the taxi down and the unknown wait time before taking off. As it turned out, I really didn't have to wait at all before I took off. From Arlington, we headed north to the Mount Vernon-Burlington area. They didn't seem to be too badly hit, but it was clear that the river was pretty close to some of the bridges. From there, we went towards Cedar-Woolley and then east towards Concrete. For reasons unknown, there was a TFR along the river between Cedar-Woolley and Concrete that went up to 5,000 feet. As a result, we had to go over higher than I would have wanted to. I would have preferred to be lower and to get better images. On the other hand, it was pretty bumpy down low, and it was much smoother up there. The description said that the TFR was for rescue operations. I don't know why, out of all the areas affected by flooding, that was the only one that had a TFR over it, and that TFR lasted for nearly 2 weeks. From there, we cut the corner towards Darrington and then back out of the canyon and south towards Snohomish. Even from the canyon north and east of Arlington, it was pretty easy to see that the Snohomish area had been hit pretty hard. We went over the airport at Snohomish, and all of the airplanes had been dragged to the south end where the ground was a little higher. There were parts of the airport still flooded. From there we went to Monroe, which didn't fare much better. We then crossed over to the west side to check out Chehalis. As we were going around the north end of the Seattle-class Bravo and passing in front of Payne Field, I had one of the commercial jets for Alaska fly almost directly under me, and he was right on the tail of another one in front of him. Like I said, busy everywhere. Chehalis did get pretty hard. There were parts of I-5 closed through there for a while, but it didn't look too bad when we got there. There was a lot of water around the golf course, but it didn't look too bad. They built a levee around the airport many years ago after it too had flooded, and it looked like it did its job. By this time, I had been in the airplane for about 2 hours, so I needed to land and rest. The landing at Chehalis would have been a good one, but just before touchdown, I glanced at the TAC, and that happened to be the exact moment that I contacted the ground, a bit unexpectedly. But it worked out okay. One of the other advantages to the stop at Chehalis was giving me a chance to put a fresh battery in the tail camera, since that one had died before I even got there. Since that battery doesn't last much more than an hour, I tried to turn it on just before I get in, so I didn't turn it off after I replaced the battery. Because it would still be a few minutes before I climbed in. Guess what I forgot to do before I climbed in? As if that wasn't bad enough, the last time I downloaded footage from the wing camera, I forgot to delete the files from the SD card. So it filled up and shut off the camera just before I got to Bremerton on the way home. That left me with just the 2 backup cameras to record the rest of the trip. Fortunately, not much happened on the way back, though I did make a much better landing at home, and much to my surprise, there was nobody at the gas pumps when I got there. That didn't last long, though.
Arlington Municipal Airport. Automated weather observation. 2316 Zulu. Wind 010 at 05. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 12 Celsius. Dew point 09 Celsius. Altimeter 2994.
And Arlington to Plane 30 Yankee Shark, final 34, full stop Arlington.
Arlington traffic, RV-8 3 Juliet Delta is turning left downwind 34, looking for the traffic coming off of 29 Arlington. Arlington traffic, RV-8 3 Juliet Delta is left base 34, full stop Arlington.
9 will make a turn to the northwest bound, leaving the area, Arlington traffic.
And Arlington traffic, Terminal 124 Papa Whiskey is upwind, runway 29 number 2, also departing towards the northwest. Arlington traffic, RV-8 3 Juliet Delta is final 34, full stop, using the second turnoff Arlington.
And Arlington traffic, 47 is going to go around, break off the approach on 34. I got the tow plane in sight, but I don't have the other aircraft in sight. Arlington.
Tow plane's on the ground, the RV's on short final, actually over the runway.
Copy.
Bravo Victor switching.